were worth his time. I'm pretty sure that's what you were doing there, right? Or were you in town anyway? Yeah, he came and he walks up to me at the end. He's like, I like what's going on here. I want to speak. I'm like, who's this guy? Oh, oh, I see. I think he can kick some ass. And sometimes we need to have a little whoop, encouragement of the less gentle nature.
I'm
And
gentle.
yeah, he's gentle.
I am gentle.
Yeah. So as we're gonna mess with his mic a little bit. So Sonny came to speak at Self Reliance Festival the next time, and I was
Yeah,
very
that's fine.
happy to see the response from the audience and to hear the words that he had to say. And ever since then, he's just stacked topic on topic on topic. We started with some mindset stuff. You did self defense things, and then you talked about homeschooling boys.
Yes, I
Yes,
did.
men being men. So these are all topics you can talk about. But today you're going to talk about ownership,
Self ownership. Yes.
self ownership. So I'm going to hand it to you to go from there.
All right. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Uh, Legal immigrant from former Soviet Union. So don't call ICE, and if you do, there's going to be a gunfight. Was that? Привет, привет. Yeah, I guess you could say that this is like people will look at it and go like, what is this shit? Some kind of collusion going on, Russian here and all that. Uh, Quite the opposite. This is actually going to be probably as contentious for you folks to hear as it is to a lot of Americans, talking about the war in Ukraine. So indulge me, if you will. Again, if it's too uncomfortable for you, there's a place outside there to sit and smoke a cigar, drink some water or whiskey or whatever, and enjoy yourself. So this is a very different topic in this crowd, and this crowd for me. I mean, I know some people here, but most of you are new faces to me. So I will say ahead of time that I have gained a little bit better control of my um, style of speaking, so to speak. There's a little bit less f bombs, but every now and then they just slip out. So I will apologize for that ahead of time because it probably will happen on a couple occasions, but hopefully not too much. Uh, was that? Well, that's fucking awesome. Right. Um, I'm junior as far as self-reliance, as far as farming, as far as self-sufficiency with food. We bought our property in East Texas back in 2019. We used to live in Dallas. We moved out just before the summer of love and the pandemic and all that. I didn't buy the property with a big plans of farming, make it into some kind of a very much off-grid self-sufficient place. I teach for a living. I do training, everything, not everything, but a lot of things related to violence. Uh, Anything from conflict management, how to talk yourself out of some deep shit, up to covert team assault of, you know, reinforced buildings and so on and so on. So we bought that property with that idea because it already had a place to work with weapons and explosives and those kind of things. And it was far away from everything, and it's unincorporated, so I don't have to get any permits or ask or anybody doesn't ask me any questions what I do there, unless they hear very loud things, which happens there quite often. But then they just become very interested observers when they come. Let me address something that in the West, in self-reliance circles, in off-grid living, farming, ranching, that kind of stuff is, at least my observation, is seldomly, if ever, addressed. We often talk about what we do. If someone was to ask you a very direct question, not what you do, because what we do is, well, I'm a parent, I'm a man, I'm an influencer, I'm a teacher, I'm an instructor, I'm an entrepreneur, businessman, whatever, right? If someone was to ask you a question, who are you? If you had balls to answer that question, how would you answer that? Who are you? We define ourselves by what we do. Whatever it is, your area of expertise, whatever it is you're known for, whatever it is that you enjoy doing, it's all well, it's all good. But unless you really know who you are and why you function the way you function, are you performing at your highest output? Most of you probably have heard at some point in time, and maybe even talked about it, two ways of, at least what the science tells us, two ways of humans functioning. And it's sympathetic and parasympathetic realms, right? So if I was to ask you that question, who are you, in the context of those two, which one would you attribute yourself to? Sympathetic, which is fight or flight, or parasympathetic? This is open discussion, guys. Don't be, and girls, don't be ashamed. I'll make fun of you one way or the other. So just fucking deal with it.
Can you define parasympathetic?
Parasympathetic, it's kind of chill. Your nervous system is relaxed. Your nervous system is not anticipating. Sympathetic is where it's basically American way of living. We are constantly anxious because we made it into a virtue. This is where it's going to get interesting. We made it into a virtue to push it, to hustle, to constantly be, the hard charger, right? Now, people will say, are you like declaring here a jihad against, the capitalism and, be an overachiever? Absolutely not. I think you should be a doer. I'm trying to be a doer as much as I can. The question is, what state you are starting from as a doer? Ask yourself a question. Most of you are of adult age. Most of you are past your 20s, right, Jack? If you were to look back on your life and if you took, let's say, top 20 of your most effed up conflicts you had in your life, whether it's with your wife, whether it's your boss, your best friend, maybe your kids, okay? How did that go? More importantly, where did it start? How do we evaluate that shit? Right? You get into a major fight with your wife, in the next 2 weeks, you are this close to saying, fuck you, and throw the divorce papers at her because you go like, I don't need to deal with this shit. I value my peace too much, right? And when you talk to people, if you talk to people about it, your explanation always will be, well, yeah, I said that, but it's because, and that because is always going to point at whom? At her or other factors, but never at your state of being, correct? Your state of being had nothing to do with your reaction, the way you reacted to things, and you said what you said, or you did what you did, right? That's not a factor, correct? I submit to you, gentlemen, that is the deciding factor because our nervous system supersedes our cognition. We react before we cognitively able to frame what is the problem. Where do you think that comes from? Fear, anxiety, which are all symptoms of what? We live 99% of our woke time in a sympathetic state. It's fight or flight, constant. We don't even know how to function otherwise. because then you feel like a beta cuck. You know what I mean? What am I, some kind of a punk? You know what I mean? Some kind of a, I don't know, hippie of the West Coast or something, right? No, I'm a doer, man. I'm a hustler, right? And you're constantly on the needles. Do you think that nervous system is being shaped by your habits? And in a way, you can say it's being trained to always react certain ways. Yes? Okay. So if you train for something, right? Be it athletics, be it some other activity or whatnot, what you do most often repeatedly pretty much becomes your default response, correct? Okay. So now going back to those top 20 unpleasant interactions of your life. Okay. If you were to hit a rewind button and take a look at what state of being you were when those things that were impossible to take back were said or done. You know, the ones that your kids remember 15 years later. Hey, dad, remember when you called me a fag and this and, you know what I mean? Those kind of things, right? The ones that stay, the ones that hurt, the ones that cut. What kind of state of being you were in that stage?
At the time, when I look back on my life of any outbursts like that or any conflicts that I had, I was living outside in and not inside out. I was letting the external factors affect my emotions, and that proved that I guess at the time didn't have the self-control that I should have had been more observing and understanding instead of being reactive.
Very good. So would you say that that's a form of dependence on outside stimuli? It's not self-ownership. You don't own your responses. They are determined by your nervous system being affected in a certain way, and you settle for staying that way. Is that self-ownership? It's not. Because you allowed yourself to become something that, logically thinking, if you look at it objectively, this shit does not lead to good outcomes. It does not lead to good outcomes, right? How do we change that? I mean, I don't know, some LSD, you know, some shrooms, right? Kind of chill a little bit. In Russia, we do vodka. It helps. It helps. We chill. But these are patches. How do we change our space? How do we change the way we are? What does it take? Go ahead, sir.
So I'm actually working with a coach on this right now. We're doing a lot of meditation and a lot of personal work to help me basically train my emotions and not
So, you know, those events that materialize in our life, right? Not everything is, there are some things that you have zero control over, right? It's not something that it required any input from you. It just got thrown into your face. Many others, there was some input. You go like, I didn't do nothing to this bitch, you know, she just became this way and then she wanted a divorce. Yes, you did. You married her. You participated in it, right, Joe? Right. I have ex too, by the way. You know, I'm still dealing with her 13 years after divorcing her ass. I mean, firing her ass. But there's that. So, what do we do? How do we start preparing for it? Where we are not functioning in a way that will lead to bad outcomes because of our state of being. This is the only thing that we can control, the way we are in situations. What comes our way, it's already there. It's too late to change it. It came. Here it is in front of you. Now everything is determined how you are, right?
We can work on recognizing your internal state.
Okay, how would you do that?
Being very aware of what's going on inside.
Awareness is a big word, man, but awareness is, you know, it's one of those words where like, you know, I'm inspired. the fuck does that really mean? You know what I mean? I've been going to many events and listening to people from SRF to, here first time at Jack's place. And I listen to folks, what they do on their homesteads. And yeah, I'm inspired. I mean, January 1st, we see in the gyms a lot of inspired people. By January 20th, out of 1,000, there's 2 disciplined people that stayed, right? So what is awareness? How do we become aware of it? There's 2 ways. There's a hard way, very masculine way. And that's what I do in my training. Through pain and suffering, I teach people to recognize mistakes that they make in their, some people will say emotional response. It's deeper than that. It's how their nervous system needs to be rewired. Okay. Do we have any brave men here that are okay to experience some pain? It's just a little bit. Come on up, man. Come on up. Come on up. See, I brought this special tool. It's made in Russia. It's a Cossack. It's a Cossack whip, right? No. Just relax, right? So the way I do this, right? You can touch that. You can feel it. It's good, right?
For now.
For now, right? Right. The way we do these things, and I don't do it to hurt people, although after that, if he lifts his shirt, you're going to see all kinds of weird stuff. And how he explains this to his woman is not my problem. What kind of mistress he went to and all that shit.
My back, I'm in trouble.
We'll do it both sides. That way it's balanced.
Where'd you get those scratches on your back, babe?
But what I want you guys to watch is I'm just talking a little soft smack, right? I let him touch this and he kind of goes like, man, no big deal. But then when Sonny does that, it kind of not so pleasant, right? And then when it comes here, what was that? Was that cognitive or was that nervous system before he even recognized? Guys, this is how we live. We're in the constant sympathetic reactive state. Anything in front of us, I put the fist in front of him and I move it back as if I hit him. Most guys instantly go what? Anticipation of something, anxiety. Right?
Think about why you didn't right there.
It's early in my lecture, Jack. We're just starting, right? So now look, right? Notice he doesn't know if I'm going to hit or not, right? But now he does, right? We're not done yet, right?
I'm ready for
Right? Sucks a little bit?
A little bit.
This one is going to suck just a little bit more. Just breathe. Right? So, thank you. I appreciate your bravery. I really do, man. Yeah, put your hands together.
I didn't have S&M on these.
It was a surprise. Never trust Russians, Yeah. When they say we're not going to invade. You know that joke about the Russian when he lands in JFK, right? Nationality, the border patrol agent asks, he goes like Russian. He goes occupation. He goes, no, just visiting. All right, so are you by nature, we sometimes use that excuse word, well, it's just the way I am. Would you describe yourself as a anxious, snappy, impulsive, and nervous person in your daily life?
Absolutely.
There's a wide spectrum of answers here, man. Some people think that there's a chill as a cucumber. Others going like, dude, I'm not, right? What if right now I pulled out a loaded gun and pointed like this at you guys?
Might get a few pointed back.
I would hope so. I would hope so. But I'm asking again, I'm asking about the response as far as your response before it's cognitive as far as, oh, he's looking that way, so I'm gonna pull and smoke the fool, right? What happens to you? A lot, right? Why do you think that is? Sympathetic living. Now, you can say that every person will get scared because we understand what are the implications of gun being pointed at you, right? Again, your initial reaction is before understanding happens. Realize this, that your reaction, whatever you're going to do, depending on your training, tools present, and all that stuff, yeah, it's going to have certain cognitive component in it. But your initial state from which you start is not cognitive. It's the state of your being, the way you are daily. So when people look at training that I do with guys, and this was like a soft demonstration because it does go a lot harder and not just whips. There's fists, and it's not just body. We hit faces, we do all kinds of painful things that seem a little bit brutish, and people go like, you enjoy punishing people and you enjoy seeing people in pain. No, I really don't enjoy that. I've seen enough of that in my life where I don't give a shit about it anymore as far as seeing it again. But it's a great tool. Okay, so that's a hard, overt, masculine way to actually gradually start correcting nervous system responses. Because, what is your name, sir? Antonio. Nice. Sounds very not American. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. If I kept Antonio here for about an hour, and I did a little bit with the whip, a little bit with the stick, then I pulled the live blade and I started doing things with the live blade where I would have Antonio hold this very sharp blade and I start moving and I go like, if you resist it, you know what's going to happen to your fingers, right? And I'm moving it like that and he's just like, right? Eventually his nervous system would arrive at a very interesting breaking point. Okay? And basically it becomes somewhat of a honey badger. It doesn't give a shit anymore. It kind of sinks. Okay, there's an interesting breaking point that is achievable through hard masculine training. Yet, there is a soft, more feminine and covert approach to it. All right. And it's so un-American, and especially in the circles like, not unlike what we have here today, right? Because we talked about perseverance, right? We talked about all the other things, and that's what overcoming the hardships, pushing through, hustling through the obstacles, right? So we charge head first in that which is uncomfortable because discomfort hardens us, right? Okay. What if I told you that in order for you to deal with discomfort better, you should learn where comfort is and what it really means? That's the soft way, the different approach than what I do in training. And it's a very interesting approach because we do that. We start with something as simple as your posture. Because believe it or not, your nervous system is directly affected by how you are skeletally. Okay. If you're standing there and you're constantly used to locking out your knees and being hyperextended, do you think your nervous system is functioning properly? It's not. By the way, that affects your hips, which exaggerates the S curve in your lower spine. Do you think that affects the things going up? All right. So there is a soft way of finding comfort. And it's very interesting because we would tell people like, somebody has a shoulder injury, let's say, and we'll tell them, put the arm out there, see how far you can rotate because this starts climbing. Okay, cool. So his knees are locked out and all that. And we'll go like, okay, fix your toes, fix your ankles, fix your knees, fix your hips. And all of a sudden he has 2 extra inches of movement. didn't change shit about his shoulder or about his elbow. Okay, it takes a little time. It doesn't happen immediately, but it takes a little time. And that's allowing body to settle into comfort, which brings out parasympathetic realm. The body no longer fights, it finds. It's a different way of functioning, gentlemen. And what's interesting about it is that gradually, as you train yourself that way, whether you're going again only the soft way or only the hard way, or ideally from both directions simultaneously, it's going to change everything you do, including in violent environments. Okay. If I ask this gentleman not to, don't worry, I'm not going to stab you. Just for a minute here. Stand up, right? If I ask this gentleman, how does your how touch it? Just be careful. It's sharp. It's a good custom-made knife. How parasympathetic you feel now?
Not very.
Not very. Honest assessment, right? Do you think it's because I put the knife, or do you think it's because to begin with he was already there? It's both. This elevated it, but your beginning point was already in the sympathetic realm, right? So when we teach people, sometimes you look at some stupid videos somewhere on the interwebs and all that, and you see the guy coming with a live blade, and the other guy just grabs the live blade and takes it out, grabs it by the blade. You go, bullshit, it will never work. Then I do it. And people go like, you're a psychopath. And in my head, I have a question. I'm a psychopath because I'm not anxious and not afraid, but you're not a psychopath, but you are trembling your whole fucking life with anticipation and anxiety, right? Which one of us is psychopath? Now, when you're functioning in the parasympathetic realm, guys, your movements are not shaped by fear or anxiety. They are objective. Your assessment is objective. Your assessment is not through the filter of fear of what's going to happen or may happen, or what if the things go wrong. Because that is thinking about what? That is thinking about outcome, correct? That is being worried how it's going to end versus working on the process at this very moment. Think about it like this. How many of you here are shooters? Pressing triggers. Quite a few. Good. Right? How do you train shooting? You go to the range, right? You have a gun, and there's a target, correct? And your assessment and your evaluation of how good, how competent you are is based on what? What happens to that target, right? Whether it's a grouping, whether it's how quickly you ping. Yeah, there can be timer involved and all that, okay? In quite a bit of my training, I remove the target. There is no target. I said, I don't want you to even look down range. The only thing I want you to focus on is grip and trigger press and correct posture, nothing else. Don't look at the sides. Don't look down the range. Just focus on your grip. Just focus on your trigger press. Nothing else. In that order. Okay. And people would work on that for hours at a time without single target downrange. Okay. And then the target pops up, and I go hit him in the face. Bam, bam, bam. I haven't even addressed side picture alignment. I haven't even addressed his red dots, whether it's a dot or a donut or whatnot. Okay. But they worked on the process, how to do it in the most efficient way without projecting themselves forward. What is going to be the outcome? It's good to have goal, right? I mean, we all set certain goals, whether they are financial or well-being or health or otherwise. There's nothing wrong with that. Right? Then you got to do a little bit of a dissection, as Joel was talking about, Dr. Peterson saying about dragons in your room, right? Some of those dragons are a little bit too fucking big for us to slay. So you kind of look at that big bastard and go like, all right, this thing is going to have to be kind of dissected into pieces that are manageable for me to swallow and digest. Because as the whole big picture, too much, just too much. Right? So once you compartmentalize it and make it into pieces that you go like, I think I can handle one piece at a time. Then comes time for a little bit deeper reflection. How would I do it with this specific piece? Right? And once I figure out, after significant amount of dwelling on it, not meditating, dwelling on it, okay, do I need to see that piece in front of me and constantly keep it in my mind, or have I already mapped out what needs to be done? And then all my focus is on what? Doing what needs to be done before I proceed to next, to next, to next. Once I get to the last part, that piece is digested. I don't need to look at it. I don't need to worry about it. I don't need to see the results. I'm only focusing on doing what I'm doing in the moment for that moment. Everything else is illusion, because that's what future is. The best way to be architect of your future is to be present in today and do the best. When you're focusing on that shit on the horizon, it will swallow you. It will swallow your work. It will severely deplete quality of your work. It will make you anxious. It will make you scared, and you will not like the outcome. And you know what funny about it is? We're always going to find something else to blame, but not our process. Something else went wrong. You know, he shape shifted, right? The weather changed. Well, his gun was a newer model that's more accurate, right? Yeah. I forgot to change the battery in my optic, right? All of the stories that we can put out there. Let me see here. That way I don't skip about things and I don't go overtime. How would you define discipline? What is your definition of discipline? Because I hear people talk about discipline, about being committed to the task. How would you define discipline?
Your level of focus and the willingness to not be distracted while you're focused.
So would you say that ability to control yourself and or other people, even in difficult situations?
You can't control others, but you can control yourself to a degree.
I submit to you, if you control yourself, you have much higher chances to control others. When you're out of control, what the fuck you're going to control outside of yourself? If you are anxious, if you are angry, if you are screaming, do you think you can de-escalate when you're screaming at your wife and she screams back at you? Not going to work, right? Because it just becomes like a avalanche, right? And you go, yeah, I can blame it on her. Bitch is always angry. What got her there? If you're out of control yourself, Joel says, animals detect the way you are, your mood, and they absolutely do. We animals, we feel it. We may not be able to frame it and say it and verbalize it or whatnot, but have you felt standing in front of a person, you go like, he's anxious. He didn't do nothing. He didn't say nothing. But you detect that anxiety, right? That anticipatory nervousness. Do you think it changes things? It does. In Soviet Union, when I was in different life, in different profession, we're being trained how to literally sneak up to people with the blade, and although the blade is visible, they don't feel threatened. And you go like, so what are you gonna? You feel pretty threatened now, right? Because you go like, shit, sneaky motherfucker is gonna try to slice my throat, right? No, it's pretty much like blade in your face, and I just walk up, right? And you kind of go like, that's simple, that's easy. Try it. Try it. Try it, and you will see how beholden you are by tools, and you pick up something that you may feel or assume that gives you special powers, special abilities, or whatnot, and you're not the same person. Your nervous system has changed, and others feel it and detect it. Yep. So when we talk about self-ownership or dependency, to me, it's always interesting because we put it out into these outer layers of, I'm going to grow my own food. I'm going to be off the grid, electricity, water, beautiful, amazing. So that's self-ownership, right? You're outside of the system. Do you have one of your own over yourself? That's a hard question to ask. And what's interesting that, in the circles like this is that people are definitely sharp and wise and smart enough to understand it. But for some reason, on our priority list, where is it? Towards the bottom. Absolutely towards the bottom. Your physical well-being, your health, what people call emotional health and all that stuff, right? It's somewhere. Once I get my water, my electricity, my this and that, I'll address that. The fuck you will. Okay, just the process of trying to establish your homestead and all that stuff, right? What does it do to your sympathetic living? Yeah, way out there. It's like swallowing 3 bags of her coffee at once without water. You're spinning out because you're dealing with all this shit and unknowns and lies and products that promise and under-deliver and on and on and on and on, right? And then you are what? You are dependent on what happens because you don't control yourself. You don't have self-ownership. Your life is shaped by what happens. You are a consequence. You're not a reason. I know it's not comfortable to think about. I know it's also, some people will say it's kind of obscure, right? I'm going to read you something from the book that was supposed to come out almost a year ago. It started as a 120-page book. Now it's close to 300. But it's coming out soon. Quite often, life slaps you in the face. Listen to this slowly. Sometimes figuratively, with words or events, or literally, with a clenched fist. The reflex of convention is to react and retaliate immediately, hard, fast, and most often blind. Would you agree? But the real wisdom and power lies in something else. Stay. Take a breath. Let your mind return to reason from the basement of emotion. Make a choice. Not necessarily to do nothing, but to be free from fear, anger, and pride in what you do. Not every slap is a fight. It could be a mirror for who you are and how you deal with whatever life brings. Let the impact of the slap come in. Don't allow yourself to be found by it. Find yourself because of it. So Jag has seen the way we do slapping in the Russian systema many, many years ago, right? Monden seen it and felt it and suggested to many other people to feel it. Most people declined the offer, obviously, right? But we don't do that because it's fun to punch people. I mean, there is a little segment to that. I'm not going to deny, I'm not going to bullshit you guys. There is something when you hit someone in the fucking stomach and you see their eyes pop out or they run to the bathroom and don't quite make it. It's fun. But it has very real reasons behind it. You give person the opportunity in very compressed time frame to deal with something that sometimes in life can take you a year to experience. In a regular flow of life. Because it's small little bit here, small little bit here, small little bit here. Now in 3 seconds, you cannot take a breath because your diaphragm got locked. It's fucking scary. When you're trying to inhale, but your diaphragm does not give space for your lungs to expand. Your nose is open, everything is open, you're trying to take a breath and you can't. And this dude that has punched you standing in front of you and smiling at you, going like, you're about to die, bitch. And then he touches you with the finger and you start breathing again. And you go like, this is devil's workshop, right? It's not. Okay. But this is the hard way to rewire your system. And it needs to be done hundreds of times until you develop something very interesting, and it's called acceptance. If you go and you pride yourself, I charge headfirst into discomfort and challenge and this and that. It's kind of like Don Quixote, running against the windmills with the fucking lance, and thinking that this is the way to do it. You're going to have some hard lessons from that. You're going to have some hard lessons. Acceptance happens over time because your body, which, believe it or not, is much wiser than what you think you have here, figures out that something in wiring inside of you has to change. Pretty radically. Pretty damn radically. I know Jack has seen videos of Vladimir and Mikhail, right?
Yeah.
And it's always, I know the YouTube, the bullshit channels and all that. They go like, try it against me. Anytime, Bubba. None of them showed up.
Go see you.
Yeah,
They're up on
yeah.
TV,
None of them show up, and it's fine. It's fine. I'm past the stage at my age of needing, fights, challenges, or whatnot. If it comes, I'll smile about it. But if it doesn't, I'm not gonna cry about it. The calmness, no matter what comes. The gun, the knife, the full speed, the 2, the 3 attackers on the ground, the calmness at everything. And that calmness is not like, he's like dumb not to understand what's going on. No, full understanding of what's going on, but absolute emotional detachment from it. They cannot be shaken. No matter what you do, they cannot be shaken. And I look at that and people go like, how come dudes like, they look at their work, they slow down their work when they're doing full speed work. They go like, how come this dude is so precise that he's able to kick someone's heel as that guy is trying to kick him in the face? With very precise kick, just kicks the heel and basically breaks the angle. Go like, how can you be so precise? I'm like, try to be anxious, scared, angry, and be precise with things. Back in Soviet Union, we used to play the game as kids. So we would take a knife, put our hand like this, try to do that angry. See how it works for you. Drink 6 cups of coffee, try to do that. See how it works for you.
Or just eat the chocolate covered espresso beans.
There you go. Right? It does not. Our functions, our proficiency, our efficiency deteriorates. And if we don't control it, because it happens before cognitive response, guess what? You screw from the get-go. Because your get-go is already in the sympathetic realm. You are in flight or fight world every waking minute. And by the way, guys, this goes a little bit beyond just violence. Do you think it changes how you react to your kids fucking up? Do you think it changes at work when your boss is being a dick? With your spouse? With your in-laws? Yeah, it does. Do you think it changes your health? A lot of health professionals talk about it. Stress, right? What is stress? People go like, well, that's what's in my head. If certain things are in your head and they rewire your nervous system to be in constant sympathetic state, guess what? Guess what? So when we're trying to control the trees we plant, the animals we slaughter, but we don't control this, maybe just at some point, no rush, you may want to reevaluate that because it actually may have an effect on how you do other things. And goodness gracious, I'm so not good with technology. Does anybody have any questions or anybody wants to try certain things, such as live blade, whip, punch, or whatnot? I'm not here to punch people or whatnot. If someone wants it on the sidelines tonight when we're drinking alcohol, by all means. Just be hydrated, because there was a guy at SRF that got punched and he was like a zombie for the next 8 hours.
If I've hit you, I'm not that good.
Okay, so who has a question for Sonny or comment?
It's okay. I'm not going to
Hatch,
throw
what do you
knives
got,
at you if you
Hatch?
ask questions.
So how does one do this themselves? Like without having your assistance of the punching and the pain?
Okay, so you know, I hail from Lithuania originally, right? Although I'm half Russian, half Lithuanian. In Lithuania, we don't have middle names, so it's first name and last name, right? So here in America, my students gave me a middle name, and they said my middle name is Push Up. Does that answer your question? Push-ups. And I'm not talking 300 a day. I'm not talking any kind of number or whatnot. 5 slow push-ups a day. Slow, 60 seconds down, 60 seconds up. On the hard floor, on your knuckles. No matter what. At first, you can put the timer in front of you on your phone or whatnot. Maybe start with 30 seconds down. And every step of the way, every second, don't just wait for the next second to come, because you're looking what? At the target, at the goal. Okay? What you're paying attention to is breathe, correct your structure, make sure you are as comfortable as you can be in a very uncomfortable place, which is doing a fucking 60-second push-up. I would not call it a comfortable place, right? Seek comfort in it. That slowly rewires your system, because if you're looking at the clock, or you're trying to do the numbers or weightlifters poundage or whatnot, you are in fight or flight response. You're in a sympathetic state of being. So gradually you start rewiring to function in parasympathetic way in the high stress scenarios. Will it take time? Yeah, long time. It's not something that, you do it for a week and you're a different person, you're cool as a cucumber, as someone pulls out the gun and puts it to your child's head. Not going to happen. It's going to take significant amount of time. You start with that. It can be applied to an exercise. It can be a squat. It can be a leg raise. It can be, all the other things. And yes, I put myself in a hardship on purpose. I put myself into suffering on purpose. But I don't look at it as a suffering or hardship. Does that make sense? And it's a major mental shift, because we, in our culture, it's a challenge. It's a competition against the weight or repetition numbers or whatnot. No, it's not a challenge. It's an exercise to find yourself doing this. When I was in military, when they just selected me for this very specialized unit and all that, and I'm a hot shit, I'm former gangster in the mean streets of former Soviet Union and all this, and black belt in this, and I know how to do this. Aggressive as fuck. Angry. Physically capable. Wiry. Scary dude. And then I see these dudes in their 40s coming in, doing room clearing, and we acting as an op for. We're the bad guys in the rooms, and those guys are coming in. Completely serene faces, almost smiles. None of them screamed. Let me see your hand. No, none of that shit. Like a shadow, like a fucking ghost appears from behind the corner, pointed a gun at my face, and goes like, sit down. I went, yes, sir. Yes, sir. If he screamed, I probably would have fucking bolted, pulled my shit, and, it would have become this. The calmness of those professionals was the scariest thing I've seen. And then after training in that, when we were going in on actual missions and doing those things, to see the faces of people that we took in or finished, it's very telling. They've never seen anything like that before. You know, death does not come in screaming, threatening, or whatnot. It comes in as a fact. Here I am, and this is what's going to happen. And that's it. So doing these slow exercises, you know, and when I say slow, when I say on the hard floor, this is not to condition your knuckles. This is not to make your knuckles look like you're a professional boxer or whatnot. This is to give you an overload for your nervous system to deal with and gradually to gain understanding that you cannot win that fight. You have to accept the fight. And then you function differently. Then your focus is on your breathing. Then your focus is on your form. It's not on the number of push-ups or seconds or poundage or whatever else it is. It puts you in a different space. Does that answer your question, sir?
Absolutely. Process mission right there.
Anything else?
Will, come here.
This guy is crazy. He signed up for my 5-day
Okay.
class.
So I also know that after your 5-day class, probably the only person who successfully fist planked daily is Will. Come here. Please tell us how that changed your life the first 6 months. Into the microphone.
Good question. Well, I don't know. It changed everything. I don't know. Professionally, business wise, yeah, I don't know. I don't even know how to list. I mean, it literally was life changing in every way. Of course, yeah, I don't know. It just, I've always taken on things, but I guess it's, yeah, I don't know how to express it. It's yeah, I don't know. It's what you say. I don't know. You have to experience it. I can't really. I've had a year. I've had like 4 things at least this year that are like dream scenarios that have manifested. You know, that, I mean, I've been working towards things for like 25 years that have just been coming to fruition this year for, you know, whatever reason. And it seems related, you know, opportunities presenting themselves, and I'm just executing. Yeah, I don't know. It's been amazing, and yeah. And all I'm doing, I mean, yeah, I'm just planking 2 minutes a day, doing the push-ups, hard floor, and
That's it. He's not doing any kind of, you know, Russian special forces freaking jumping out of the airplanes and doing hard rolls with 60-pound rucksack with a suppressed AKs or whatnot after being smacked with a baseball bat across the face. He's just doing a humble push-up and plank.
Yeah, so I got
Nothing more, nothing else.
I got a text from him maybe 2 months ago because I get the plank update every so often, and he was like, everything has changed. I am choosing to eat better. I am pursuing with more focus the pursuits. These are the outcomes of those pursuits. I feel better. Yeah,
Guys,
that's what I heard tangibly from him.
And I appreciate that. You know, he was at SRF, you know, when we talked a little bit, and he signed up for one of my, what I refer, well, put it this way. I'm a big fan of this one band called Tool. And those of you who have anything bad to say about it, see me outside. So for my birthday, my wife in 2019, when their Fear Inoculum album came out, bought me tickets, and they played in Dallas in the American Airlines Arena in February of 2020, literally 3 weeks before all the shutdowns, you know, and their album Fear Inoculum, and that song and lyrics and all that stuff was pretty damn profound. You know, so next year I started doing a 5-day class called Fear Inoculum. And it's kind of crazy. It's really interesting. So this dude just signed up for it. So he's coming in March to Fort Honey Badger there in East Texas to participate in that 5-day class. Those of you who are interested in things like that, guys, come see me, come talk to me. Those classes, that class is sold out, oversold. We do it only once a year. But we have other offerings and we can discuss things if you are interested. Any other questions? And by the way, I appreciate that, man. It's, small things like that where people go like, oh, he must have been doing a gazillion different things to get himself to a different state of being. You don't.
Antonio, come here to the microphone, please. Thank you, sir.
I would like to know, Sonny, everything that you are teaching right now, is there a mentor in your life that brought you to the state that you're in right now? And
Yes.
if so, who is it? And could you tell us about it?
Yes. So this is gonna sound almost like the fake fucking Academy Awards. That's my first mentor. Second one is the guy named Vladimir Vasilyev. He's in Toronto, Canada. He's exactly 10 years older than me. Our birthday is like a couple of days apart in December. So he's 66 years old, not a very young man. I've been training with Vladimir for many, many years. And if you guys have a chance to see him, it's a level that's hard to describe. When his teacher, Mikhail Repko, was still alive, the way Vlad was explaining was like this. He goes like, when people look at your work, it's like a piece of paper and it has 6 dots and they can connect the dots to somewhat make sense. As they look at my work, it's like a piece of paper that has 1 dot on one side and 1 dot on the other side. When they look at Mikhail's work, it's just a piece of paper. There's nothing to refer to. There's nothing to understand except shit gets done. And you stand there, you go like, what the fuck? This is not normal. That tells you how far from normal we have become. Because their work is very natural. Their work is very clean. It's pure. There is no emotional baggage. There is no anger. There is no hatred. There is no desire to hurt. It's just get the job done. And it's interesting, because again, because of current, political climate and all that stuff. I can tell you guys back in Soviet Union, right? So I was in Soviet Special Forces back in those days, Cold War and all that, right? We did some stuff. People died, all that stuff. Our work was never standing here at the door. We stack up. We're about to go in and kill some people. Quite a few of them was never like, come on, motherfucker, do this and that. Dudes looked at each other and simply in Russian language said, "Работаем, ребята. Let's work, guys." It was work. It was never revenge, punishment, execution. It was work. You need to detach yourself from that very unhealthy, very dark space of, you know what I mean? Because in essence, you're taking upon yourself that which is God's. Don't add decision-making to it. You're just doing the work. You're not there to execute revenge or make things right. You're just there to do the work. And even now, my priest in our Orthodox church, he knows that me and my wife are always armed in the church. I bring in my backpack with my short barrel rifle in there, and I have smokes, and I have flashbangs, and I have a few other illegal items and all that. Hi, YouTube. And Father B would just say, he goes like, I'll just pray that if something that nothing bad happens, but if it does, that you do the minimum needed to get the work done. That's it. When I was younger, there was this thing to overkill, to really, do something. And it's all pride. It's all fucking ego. It's all that dark shit coming out. With age, man, you do exercises, you do other things, you start realizing, you start seeing, and you go like, why? Why punish yourself twice? If you already have to take a life, why punish yourself twice and add sin to it, Make sense?
Absolutely.
Cool. Anything else?
I think we are out of time.
All right, I killed my time.
Sonny,
Thank you, everybody.
killed it.
I didn't kill
You
it.
killed
Come
it.
on.
Okay, we'll be back in 15 minutes for the panel discussion on natural building.